It's time for week 1 report out of Lyn's weight loss journey. Now, before I dive into this, if this is your first Lyn's weight loss journey episode you're listening to, you have got to please go back and listen to week 0, because the context of this is pretty important. And the reason, the what if, the why behind it all is really super important. And so if you just dive into this episode without having that context, you might miss out on a couple things, and you might even find yourself offended and be like, what is she talking about? And I just don't want to go there. But I'm just going to assume that you've listened to episode 0 already, and we're on episode 1 or week 1 together. All right. 7 days in, week 1, here is my report out. First of all, I've got a couple more things I want to talk about. When I re-listened to week 0, there were a couple more pieces, the why behind all of this, and the nuances behind it that felt important. And so I want to share that first, just musings and thoughts, because this is not, you guys know, this is not a black and white, I'm on a mission to lose weight and look at how awesome I am. Not at all. This is more of we're going to really look at me as one very specific case study and go into lots of very meaningful detail. And so much of it has less to do with the tactics and more to do with the strategy and thoughts all around that. So we're going to go through all of that first. Then I'll go through week 1, which is the first 7 days of the official weight loss journey, where I'm doing what I know textbook wise is the right thing to do in a way that's sustainable and healthy, of course. And then, only then, I'm going to make you earn it. I will disclose exactly what my weight was at the start of the week, exactly where I weighed in at the end of the week, with the 6-week caveat, right? You got to have at least a 6-week trend to be able to even know if anything is meaningful at all. So of course, with those caveats, and then I'll talk about what I'm looking forward to for week 2. So you know where my mindset is going into week 2. What I hope for you is that from this, you get a nugget or two of inspiration for yourself that you can take. And whether that is, wow, I'm not alone in this, that's great. Or if it's like, oh, I like the amount of protein she used, or, oh, I liked her strategy for making sure she didn't let herself get hungry yet, knowing when she was really hungry or not, anything like that. It's the story of it all. So here we go. So first of all, when I went back and listened to episode 1, not episode 1, but week 0 of the weight loss journey, I just published it a week ago. It's still there in the podcast. I realized that there was, in some parts, there was an undercurrent where I got a little bit dark, and just got to let y'all know, I'm actually doing really good. I'm doing fine. Last year was a hard year for me. Totally hard year for me. I mean, when I talked about the, panic attacks and going to therapy, I mean, it was a hard year, but what I want you to know from all of that is Couch to Active, my business Couch to Active and a couple of close friends and my son and my family were really bedrock lighthouses of my life. And so those of you listening who've been not sitting in my classes, because they're exercise classes, who've been exercising with me multiple times a week for years now. Those classes I was teaching, they were really many times the highlight of my day, and they really kept getting me going and having that accountability. When I say I need massive accountability to keep my exercise going, I do. And you guys were there for me. And that was a huge, wonderful, wonderful piece. So I just want to pause and just thank you all for being there for me, even though I know I was the one there for you because I was the teacher, but you know how it works. It's like who saved the dog? Did the dog get rescued or did the rescuers? Yeah. So I just wanted to put that out there. Another piece I wanted to mention as far as me and why now? Why, Lynn, do you want to lose this weight now? Why now? Talked a lot about that in episode 0, about a lot of reasons why it wasn't the right time. I had to heal. I had to get better. I had to all that. Another tactical piece is I just turned 50. And when you turn 50 and you start going into menopause, I started thinking, oh my gosh, after I go through menopause, which I can't believe those words even came out of my mouth because I still feel like I'm 30 years old, but I got to get out of denial here. But after I go through menopause, skin loses its elasticity, right? So you don't have that elastic bounce back skin so much. It's just a fact of life. And so if I do lose weight, my skin, this is just science, my skin will have a much better chance of bouncing back and not sagging if I do this before I go through menopause. Now, here's TMI. If you're not okay with TMI, you better fast forward the next 90 seconds, maybe 2 minutes. We'll see how long I go. I hit my 50th birthday. And then for the first time in forever, my period was 3 weeks late and I was not pregnant. And it was kind of a come to Jesus moment. I was like, oh my gosh, you gotta be kidding me. No, I still think I'm 30. And I was like, no, I really, really, really want to get back now that my health is in a place where I can do this. I really want to do this while hormonally my body is going to give me a better shot at letting the skin bounce back too. Of course, I will still be a beautiful, amazing, awesome human being if that's not what happens and I end up with some saggy skin. That is abso-freaking-lutely perfectly normal, fine, and dandy. But for me, I have a shot at not having that happen. And so I'm going to take it while I got it. I'm going to take my shot. I'm not going to let the body positive people shame me into feeling bad about wanting to lose weight before I go through menopause. No. Okay. The next piece. I didn't say specifically what my goal weight was. So I mentioned that I had gained somewhere between 50 and 60 pounds, depending on how you count it. I never mentioned what my goal loss weight was. And I did that deliberately because I do not have a goal for a number on the scale I want to hit. This is what my goal is. I want to be stronger. I want to be faster. I want to have more energy and I want to feel better. So what that means is I cannot go to a weight loss goal, starving myself, eating crap, doing all kinds of anything bad. My goals, that would not get me there. My goal is stronger and faster, sharper. I want to keep my brain sharp. So I have to eat super healthy and fuel my body in a way that will help me get there. And I know enough to know that that actually is going to result in a number on the scale changing. I call it the weight loss goal because it's really the number on the scale is the one thing you can measure, right? I mean, people can say, oh, well, measure how much stronger you feel. Well, that changes day to day. Well, measure your measurements. How do your clothes feel? Well, okay, but that's a harder one to pinpoint too. And so it's all of it. But the number on the scale is one it's just easier to get my head around. So the biggest component here is going to be dialing in that nutrition in a way that gets me where I want to go. With that, it's very fascinating to me that right now, today, I am actually more at peace with my body than ever. More at peace than when I was at my very skinniest, running half marathons, more at peace when I first got my Pilates certification, more at peace when I finished a 200-mile bike ride. I just have come to a place in my life that has such freedom where I know my worth is not my body. And that for women especially, but actually for anybody. Our society just still does a really horrible job of making folks feel like the meat suit that they're in is a big indicator of who they are as a human and their worth. And the more I've really studied this, the more I've worked with individuals and learned their stories, the more I've learned that is just a bunch of marketing bullshit. And it's really great to come to that place. And when I used to hear people say that, like, I actually feel fine in my skin, in my body, even though, I don't fit that magazine perfection. I used to actually wonder, like, is that just a lie that they tell themselves? But I got to tell you, I'm here to tell you that no, it's a real thing and it's a real true thing. And if you're already there, awesome for you. If you're not there yet, it is something that can happen for you. And when it does, it's a pretty great place to be. And the interesting thing is most of us, good humans on this earth, don't hold our friends to the standards we hold ourselves to. Now, there are some of us who are just like shallow jerks and we don't know it yet. But maybe you'll find out you are a shallow jerk. No, no, I shouldn't laugh. No, I'm totally serious here. Most of us really good people, if we think about the people we love in our lives the most, the people I love in my life, my dear friends, my family, my mom, my brother, my sister, pretty much all of them are nowhere remotely close to fitting on the cover of a magazine. And it's not even a question in my head. It's like, these are the people I love. These are the people in my life I care about. And I don't care what they look like. I really don't care. Now, I got a couple friends who are by society standards gorgeous. Yeah, I got a handful of them. But really, when I think about who I want to keep in my life, who I want to keep close to me, what they look like, how much they weigh, how much fat they have on them, how many scars they have on them, nowadays, whether they're blind or sighted or anything, like, I don't care whether they have both arms or both legs. Like, I really don't care. I really, really don't care. And I think that's most of us here. And I think most of you really good people too also have friends in your life that are all different kinds of body sizes and standards. And they're your friends. They're your friends. And if you're like me, we're not getting any younger. We're kind of forced. We're kind of forced to face this reality. I can hear my dad's voice in his head. Everybody gets old and wrinkled eventually. Lovingly and jokingly and enduringly, he would say that. And now that is slowly becoming me. And I'm more and more and more dedicated to that. Humanity and the importance of what's really important in life is loving your life, living your life, having people in your life you love and that love you and care about you. And that's what it's about. And this whole health and fitness thing is a vehicle to help us get there. And that's super, super important thing to keep in mind while we go through all this. So that's pretty much what goes through my mind, what I'm thinking this past week, week 1 of this weight loss journey. Let's move along to the tactical report out. Yep, if you're my numbers person, you're going to like this because I'm just going to give you some very specifics of what's been happening, including the actual number on the scale. Now, I don't necessarily recommend people doing this, the average person, or just not the average person. You're all extraordinary people. I don't necessarily recommend folks going around just telling everybody, hey, this is how many calories I ate. This is my protein and my carbs and my, my macros that I'm going for. And here's my scale number on the weight. And Yeah. For one, it's a topic that's surprisingly prickly for people, and our society hasn't really taught us how to talk about this well. So if you have a health and fitness buddy that you can talk about this kind of stuff with, awesome. That's the place to do it. But if you broadside somebody with this kind of information and they don't necessarily even know what a macro is or protein or all that, they probably know what a protein is, blah, blah, blah. But it can really be intimidating and just be a confusing thing. So with that, let me tell you what I've been going on with here. So looking back at week 1, I averaged 1,400 to 1,500 calories a day. That's fairly low. I had a couple of 1,300 calories a day. I had a protein goal of 120 grams a day. That's considered a high protein diet, not a extreme protein diet. That's considered a high protein diet. And basically what I did is I planned my meals around my protein and then let veggies and fruits wrap around it. Tried to get my fiber in, tried to get 21 grams of fiber in every day, and didn't really worry about how many carbs I got in, just let them fall wherever they are. And by eating like that, with that calorie content, 1,400 to 1,500 calories, starting with protein, you actually naturally end up with a decent amount of fat. Not too low fat because our body needs the fat, but definitely not high fat because you cannot eat a ribeye steak and stay within that amount of calories. So it looked like a lot of chicken breasts, a little bit of lean ground beef, collagen protein powder. And then for most breakfasts, I actually pulled out my protein shakes and put in a protein powder in that protein shake, a really clean whey isolate protein powder. The jury's still out about that for my body on whether or not that's the right thing to do. But I really liked it. Protein, like 3 or 4 cups of spinach, 1 banana and ice and water, mixed it all up. And I actually loved that as a shake for the beginning. Whew. My lunch and my dinner pretty much consisted of a bunch of greens with some protein on it, chicken typically. Some kind of a fruit like apple, 100 to 150 grams of apple, or about 100 grams of grapes, and 1 ounce of goat cheese. I ate really simple this last week. But that kind of a salad, you can make a huge salad that's massive protein, got the right amount of fats, and the magic trick for me on these salads is reduced balsamic vinegar. Oh my gosh. The good kind, the really good. This is where I splurge. Oh my goodness. First of all, I live in the Seattle area, so groceries are expensive in general, but the reduced aged balsamic vinegar, you put on just a teeny tiny bit. It's practically 0 calories because you're putting on so little because the flavor is so amazing. It's thick like syrup, and it is just to die for. And the stuff I get is, oh my gosh, I think it's like $30 a bottle, but it lasts forever because you put on just a teeny tiny bit. And then at night, not before I go to bed, but not long after dinner, I take a cup of bone broth. And this is the one thing I do actually cook is I'll make my own bone broth. Maybe I'll talk about that in another clinic, podcast. I do clinics too. This is a podcast, Lynn, not one of your clinics. I take a cup of bone broth and put in collagen protein isolate into it because I really want to make sure I'm taking care of my skin and my gut and my hair and my nails. So this nutrition is super, super, super important when you have the calories reduced. I was surprisingly totally fine. Absolutely totally fine. I wasn't hungry. I felt great. I wasn't nappy. I had more energy. I never ever once that whole week felt like, oh my gosh, I just ate a big meal. I felt great. And zero alcohol, absolutely zero alcohol, tons of water. So that's what I did. And it felt really great. And I was really proud of myself to be able to do that for the week. However, at the very start of day 8, so I finished my week at the start of day 8, I was hungry. I was hungry like I could eat half a pizza hungry. So that's my job now, is to go back and look at what happened in my last couple of days of food, identify what it was that changed that made my hunger go up, and see if I can find something besides just reduce calories. And because I promised myself I would not go hungry, and so I did have one day where I added in about 300 more calories of food. I added in a big old second mini dinner, because going hungry, like legit hungry, not just I'm bored hungry or I'm stressed out hungry, is not something I'm going to do here for this. So by next week, I'll let you know what comes of that analysis, and we'll see where this merry-go-round takes us. I know this is the part that's kind of freaky about this, because okay, in theory, textbook, I know what I should be able to do. I know what should happen, but we're going to see reality, unglossed, unpolished, unshiny. My weight at the very start of week 1, day 1 or day 0, my weight was 178 pounds. By the end of week 1, here's the caveat, 6-week window, you guys, 6-week window. We never look at 1 week from 1 week to the next and claim victory. So my weight at the start of week 1 was 178. At the end of the week was 175.8. So 2.2 pound loss. However, 6-week trend. So I am not getting too excited yet, because we got a ways to go here to see, what's really going on here. And there's so many factors that could be involved here. It could be maybe just I was eating less sodium, so I lost water. It could be, as a woman, it could be time of the month, so the weight could have changed because of that. Actually, I think when I think about that, my weight should have been higher. So it did make me smile to see that change go at least in the right direction. But there we go. There we have it, 175.8. I'll report back next week. So what I'm doing for next week, I'm looking at my food to see if I can pinpoint anything around hunger. I have a suspicion. I'm not going to let myself go hungry. If I feel hungry, I'm going to pull out 100 to 150 calories of protein with veggies or protein with fruit. I'm going to work on hydration more. I was kind of thirsty this week. I need to work on hydration more, because sometimes a lot of our food comes from our water, our liquids. Sometimes it comes from the food we eat. And so if you're actually eating less food, then you're not getting that hydration from that food. That's a legit thing. And Sunday, partway through week 2, is a birthday brunch. Some friends are throwing me a special birthday brunch with mimosas and screwdrivers and egg quiches and all kinds of lovely stuff. And so I need to get my head around that and make sure I'm in a really great frame of mind where I can have an absolutely fabulous time with my friends and not derail my eating at this party that is in honor of me. Thankfully, though, the friend who's throwing this little get together, she's one of my accountability buddies. So I've already done that too. She already knows what my goals are. And so she's already planning not to sabotage me. So I've already run interference in that realm in a really positive and loving way. So I so appreciate my friend for that. So that's one big hurdle I will not have to conquer. So there we go, friends. What do I want you to get out of this? I want you to get whatever you need to get out of this. For some of us, we're going to be learning some tactics of things that we can try out of inspiration of just hearing my story. For some of us, you're going to hear for the first time in your life the real raw story of what it's like to go through a weight loss journey and things that go through someone's mind. This is especially important if you have never in your life struggled with weight. If you have never in your life used grit and self-discipline and tried to eat well and still seen the scale go up and up and up and up. If that's never been you, then I don't know how to slice and dice it, but you just don't understand. Yeah. Because I didn't understand until I went through it. And even what I've gone through, 50 to 60 pounds is baby steps compared to what a lot of folks have gone through. Others of you are just, you've been following me for years and you're like, what is Lyn doing? So decide what you want to get out of this. Pick out what positive thing you want to get out of this journey as I log it here on this podcast. And if you have any questions for me, reach out to me. You can find me, contact me through Couch to Active. All the contact info is there, no problem. And if you want to get yourself on a similar journey and dial this in specifically for you, it would be my honor. Just head on over to my website. It's couch2active.com. That's couchtoactive.com. And my phone number is there too. I know for a lot of us, a phone call is a whole lot easier. You can call 24/7. If it's not business hours, you can leave a message and we'll get back to you as soon as I can and get you going on a similar, exciting, awesome, healthy journey. All right. Hugs, y'all. Have a great day. Head on over, couch2active.com.